All right, real quick before I get started, I want to give two brief shout outs. First off, shout out to DBD Mate 8 for making this video. Regardless of what your views on the Knight are, DBD Mate 8 is a P100 Knight Main who went out this way to make this video because he enjoys playing Knight and he wants survivors to enjoy playing against Knights. And I respect that. We understand that if the prominent opinion of the DBD community was that Demogorgon, my favorite killer, is unfun, he's boring, he's uncounterable, then I would make a fucking 3-hour guide on how to counter the Demogorgon. I'd be scraping the bottom of the barrel if at all possible. Whether or not the Knight winds up actually having actual counterplay, I respect the attempt. A small shout out to DBD Mate 8. Massive shout out to Toe Warrior and his community for helping me get all the background footage you see in this video. Funny story, I actually met them in a public lobby when I was trying to get B-roll for this video. However, all the footage from that match got corrupted. When I told them, Toe Warrior was just like, hey, you want to come run customs? You want to hop into customs against us? So not only are Toe Warrior and his friends chill people, not only are they endlessly entertaining, they went out of their way to help me get this background footage. They had no incentive to do so. I am not a large content creator. You don't get clout off me. They are just genuinely kind, funny, and generous people. So yeah, without further ado, let's find the Knight's counterplay. Okay. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Before I respond to this video, I should probably actually tell you what I know about the Knight and his counterplay. I should also probably define what counterplay is to begin with so we know what metric we're judging this video off of. So, the Knight. I really fucking love his design. I really want to be a Knight main so bad, but I can't justify playing as the Knight to myself because there's only 2 ways to play the Knight, and they're both boring and unfun to play against. That's probably already information for some of you. You're probably like, wait, what? Hold on. I only thought there was one Knight style. No, actually, there are 2 styles of Knight. There are 2, I guess, effective ways to play the Knight, effective with an asterisk on it. I call these map control Knight and chase Knight. Chase Knight is the one that you are all familiar with. So the Knight chases you to a loop. He drops a guard. The guard chases you one way around the loop. The Knight chases you the other way. No matter which way you go around the loop, you eventually get hit, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is how Chase Knight works. It's the style we're all familiar with. The only real way to avoid getting hit is to get to the loop and wait at the pallet to see what the killer does. If the killer decides to stick their sword to the ground, you immediately hold W to the next loop. The guard can't attack you before you leave the loop. You essentially just hold W. If the Knight doesn't immediately drop the guard at the loop, you drop the pallet on them, and then you hold W. So despite the fact that those 2 actions are plays you can make that technically counter the Knight using his power, I wouldn't necessarily call it counterplay for the Knight, because dropping the pallet and or holding W is how you counter every killer except for Nurse. For example, counterplay to the Nurse is you break line of sight and then activate mind game mode. So now both you and the Nurse have to predict what the other player is going to do. If you predict wrong and she predicts right, she gets you. If you predict right and she predicts wrong, she doesn't get you. There's an actual element of, skill and reading the other player and game sense. If you get hunted and the guard chases you one way while the Knight chases you the other way, you just kind of get fucking hit. So that's why I say that the Nurse would have counterplay and the Knight doesn't have counterplay. Let's take something like the Artist, right? I absolutely despise going against the Artist, but at least she has some little bit of counterplay. So the Artist is here, all right? She drops a crow. So say you run this way. The Artist obviously runs this way. When you run back, you either wait for her to launch the crow and then go, make her think that you're going to run back to the pallet. You play a mind game. She launches the crow. It misses you. You keep running around the pallet. She's got to drop another crow, right? Rinse and repeat. Or alternatively, you just keep running and she thinks you're going to wait. So she doesn't launch the crow and you get around it. Or alternatively, she launches the crow. She panics and launches the crow afterwards, missing you when she starts seeing you moving, missing you completely, right? That little 50-50, I would consider that counterplay, right? When the killer drops their power out of loop, when the killer uses their power out of loop, there is something you can do to avoid getting hit with it. With the Knight, you do not have that option. Let's assume the pallet here is dropped, and the Knight puts his power right here. right? The guard hunts you, and the flag is gonna be right here, right? You run this way, and the guard obviously chases you this way. The knight just runs this way and catches you at the loop. So no matter what, if you turn around, you get hit by the guard first, and then the knight. If you don't turn around, if you keep holding forward, you get hit by the knight. So either you take 1 hit or 2 hits. Obviously, this is only at the edge of the map. If you had places to run, you just hold W, right? And then of course, both of them chasing after you. But if you're at the corner of the map, no matter what you do, if you got nowhere to run, you just get hit. Regardless of how much skill you have or how much skill the knight player has, you just get hit straight up. That's the problem with Chase Knight. He is boring. There is no skill expression involved in Chase Knight as the killer or as a survivor. That is Chase Knight. Map Control Knight is worse. Map Control Knight is how the devs intended Knight be played. He is supposed to be a map control killer. The idea is that survivors can pressure up to 4 areas of the map at once, all right? All right, say these, they're doing generators, okay? These are generators. Very, very beautiful generators. Normal kills can only pressure 1 survivor at a time, right? They're chasing this guy. These 3 are doing generators. However, the idea is that the knight can send a guard over to this generator and pressure 2 survivors at once. That's how his power was intended to be used. The best part is each of his 3 guards have different abilities. You have the jailer. He's the guy who guards things, right? You're at a generator. A survivor's at a generator. You chase the survivor off the generator. You kick the generator, and then you place the jailer here. You just drop him at the generator, okay? Now you are ensuring the generator regresses. And if another survivor wants to come and do that generator, the guard's going to detect them and chase them off. So either way, you're getting pressure out of this move. That's the best way to use the jailer in Map Control Knight. Card effects has 1 use and 1 use only. So the survivor drops the pallet. You predict the pre-drop, use card effects to break the pallet, then you walk through the loop while the pallet's being broken, and you hit the survivor before they can get to the next loop. The intended way to use Assassin, his last guy, is in chase, right? So let's say you're running to a generator. There are 2 survivors on it, okay? 1 guy goes this way. 1 guy goes this way. The idea behind the assassin is you send him after this guy while you chase this guy, pressuring 2 things at once. It's almost kind of, I hate to say this, it's almost kind of like chess in a way. It's like a real-time game of chess with very few pieces. And sorry, Skull Merchant players, but the Knight mains are the real chess masters here. You're probably thinking, wow, that actually sounds pretty fucking cool. That might actually be fun to go against. Well, you're wrong. It's not cool, and it's not fun to go against. Do you know why? It's because the Knight only has a maximum patrol path of 32 meters. 32 meters is only long enough to defend 3 generators if the Knight is standing directly in the middle of them. He is a map control killer with no fucking map control. So the only option to use Knight as a map control killer is to 3-gen. It's to play actual chess. Actual DBD chess. You have to actually hold a 3-gen for an hour. That is the way you play map control Knight. That is the only effective way you can play map control Knight. If you play Knight in any other playstyle besides these 2, you are opening yourself up to a loss. And hell, even if you play Knight in these playstyles, you're opening yourself up to a loss. Because the biggest problem with Knight is that Knight absolutely curb stomps uncoordinated survivors, but gets his shit kicked in all the time by coordinated survivors. Notice I didn't say skilled survivors, just coordinated. The coordination is key against Knight. Because 3-gens can be broken up easily by a coordinated team of survivors. 1 survivor pressures this generator, 1 survivor pressures this generator, 2 survivors pressure this generator. If the killer goes near them, they run away. And when the killer leaves to go to another generator, they immediately come back. If survivors do not split on gens in this exact formation, you will win every single time. If survivors break your 3-gen in this formation right here, then you lose every single time, right? It's not about skill, it's all about coordination. So what about Chase Knight? How does Chase Knight get shit kicked in by a coordinated team of survivors? 4 survivors split up, 3 work on gens, 1 guy gets chased by the Knight to the corner of the map, gets hit, runs to the opposite side of the map, he goes down, then you hook him, rinse and repeat until the match is finally over. At no point in time during any of these matches do I ever feel like that I outplayed the survivors or the survivors outplayed me. I mean, on the upside, your L's never really feel like L's because you never really got outplayed at all during the match. It just kind of feels like the gens just got done really fast and there was nothing you could do about it. But on the downside, your wins never really feel like wins because you're never really outplaying the survivors. It just kind of feels like you just got queued up against an uncoordinated team of casual survivors who either don't know how to play against the Knight, or most of the time they just don't care to. The main reason why I stopped playing Knight is because like in 3/4 of the matches I either got a disconnect or survivor just straight up threw the match. Not because they didn't know how to play against the Knight. It's really easy to play against the Knight. It's super simple. Just run from one edge of the map to the other edge of the map. Repeat until death. They just didn't really fucking care to. Beating a Knight means not fucking nothing. Beating and losing against a Knight means absolutely fucking nothing to them. He is so boring to play that survivors would rather just kill themselves on hook and go the next match. They probably would have disconnected if there wasn't a fucking DC penalty. And winning a 3v1 is easy with any killer. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what their power is. It's just, Knight, it just feels boring to play with. He feels so unrewarding to win. So that's my opinion about the Knight. He's a boring, unfun play against killer. The art team knocked it out of the park, but the design team dropped the fucking ball. Hopefully, this guy will be able to change it. I hope there's counterplay here. I am not trying to smash this, by the way. I genuinely want there to be counterplay. However, I'm not going to huff copium for it. I am going to be skeptical. I'm going to poke holes in it. So when I am poking holes in whatever counterplay Mate 8 comes up with, I keep in mind, I'm not doing this to be an asshole, right? I have nothing against Mate 8. In fact, I want him to succeed. However, I want him to succeed legitimately. I don't want to just hand in counterplay, right? I don't want to fake that shit. I want there to be actual counterplay. So I can justify playing Knight myself because I really love his fucking vibe. I love his aesthetic. This is all in good-hearted critique, right?
Are you having a hard time playing against the Knight? Or do you think that he has no counterplay? Well, I'm a P100 Knight Main, and I noticed that a lot of survivors don't know how to play against the Knight. So in this video, I'm going to show you some tips and counters when playing against the Knight. Oh, before we get into the real spicy tips and tricks, I'm gonna go through some basic knowledge about the Knight and his power. If you already know the basics of the Knight, you can skip to this time mark right here.
Okay, all in good critique, all in good criticism. Here's how a typical chase against the Knight goes, right? He drops the Guardian Campana. The guard sees Gabriel. I can tell that this guy is playing Chase Knight and not Map Control Knight because he's chasing with the Carnifex instead of the Assassin. The Carnifex is much better used to be saved for pre-dropping pallets. I would have had this guy go break a wall or something, or go kick a generator real quick, and then brought out the Assassin to chase Gabriel. Right? That's what I would have done if I was playing Map Control Knight. Back when I used to play Map Control Knight. Carnifex chases Gabriel to the loop. Gabriel decides, okay, well, there's no point dropping this pallets. They're not close enough for that, so I'm going to try to loop. I'm actually going to try to loop them, right? So it looks like Gabriel runs this way, right? I'm assuming that this guy at this point assumes that the Carnage is going to go around the loop and pincer this way, so he tries to go through the pallet. But when he sees the Carnifex go chase him, Gabriel through the pallet, he decides to go around and pincer, right? So the only way Gabriel can loop now the pallet, the only way Gabriel can actually play the pallet now is to run around this side, right?
Otherwise.
However, the Carnifex chases him this way, and he goes this way.
Keep on watching. So the Knight.
And at this point, Gabriel's completely cut off from the pallets, and he can't even make this pallet over here because if he can't make this pallet over here without the Knight smacking him, right?
Guardia Compania can summon guards to patrol.
So the only thing he can do now, because he's at the edge of the map, remember, if he was at another loop, he could have just held W. But since he's at the edge of the map, he gets hit no matter what. The only thing he can do now is hold W until he eventually gets hit, because he's at the edge of the map against the Knights.
Areas and hunt survivors.
This is typically the only way Knights get hits in public matches. And from what I can see, in that situation, regardless of how skilled this Gabriel was or how skilled this Knight was, there's nothing Gabriel could have done to avoid getting hit because he's at the edge of the map against a Knight. That is the problem with Knights. Let's see if Mate 8 has a solution for us.
For example, like kicking generators and breaking pallets.
That is the only way to use Cardi in a chase.
When the Knight makes a patrol.
Because then you have your Assassin out next, so you break the pallet, and then you have your Assassin go after them.
When the hunt starts, a flag will spawn at a location where you got detected by the guard, and will stay there until the hunt is over, or until you get hit by the killer or the guard. But what's the same for every single guard is that after about halfway through the guard's chase timer, you can grab the flag to gain.
Now this part here is fun. I do like playing capture the flag against the guard, right? Against the guard. If the knight just drops the guard on me and fucks right off, I think that's fun. The problem is, if the knight's going to drop a guard on you, they're not going to fuck off, and you're not going to be able to capture the flag.
Alright, so one of the best things you can do right now against the knight is to pre-drop the pallets when you're getting chased. This will make the guard go around the pallet and not through it. Be careful though.
Okay, this is interesting. Hold on, pause. This is interesting.
So if you try to vault that same pallet again, the guard will actually go through this time.
Okay, cool. So the first time you vault a pallet, the guard goes around it. That is very interesting. Here is the pallet gym. This is the knight. This is the guard. This is you. So if the guard's chasing you and you drop the pallets, the guard's going to go around the pallet and try to get you. However, if you decide to vault the pallet, to avoid the guard, he's going to go through it again because it only works once. All right? That's fair. That's fair. So obviously when the guard goes this way, you're going to be going this way. Now, why in the world would the knight go this way? Like in the clip you guys saw, the knight just went the same way the guard did, right? Obviously, that's not going to happen in real life because you're playing against a fucking knight. The idea is that they try to pincer you. So a knight's going to go here. He's going to wait here. Either you hold W away from the loop, making this just pre-drop hold W with extra steps, or option number 2, you run back into the guard and get hit. Option number 3, you run into the knight and get hit. And if the knight waits, then keep in mind the knight's waiting right here. Option number 4, you vault back over the pallets and the knight just comes around and hits you. So either you leave the loop or you get hit. You get hit here, you get hit here, and you definitely get hit here. Those are your 4 options, and 3 of them result in you getting hits. It's interesting to note that the guard won't go through the pallet if it gets dropped during chase. It hasn't been vaulted over yet. But that doesn't matter because in the end, you are still getting hit 3 out of 4 options you take. Because in no world, unless the knight is fucking brain dead, they are not going to go the same way their fucking guard is. Like this clip here, where the knight and the assassin both go the same direction, that only happens if the knight is fucking brain dead. So yeah, it's still just pre-drop and hold W with extra steps.
And here's another example of this exact same thing. The survivor is getting chased here, and watch here, he drops the pallet and the guard goes around instead. So the survivor avoided a double hit and he avoided the guard successfully.
His bit of praise is that, okay, so he pre-dropped the pallet and only got hit once. So the praise of this clip, why dropping this pallet here,
and watch here,
was such a good idea was that instead of getting hit twice, he only got hit once. Do you want to know a fun way to only get hit once without having to drop a pallet? Is to not drop the pallet and run straight back into the knight. That way, you get hit once and don't have to waste a pallets. There we go, guys. That's more counterplay for you. Run directly into the knight. Just fucking nuzzle your face into his sweaty fucking armor. Just like fucking motorboat his breastplate or something. And you only get hit once instead of getting a double hit from the guard and the knight. There's some more knight counterplay for you guys. I'm not trying to be me on purpose. It's just, this isn't counterplay.
I avoided a double hit and he avoided the guard.
He dropped the pallet and he still gets hit.
Very important
It's fucking knight.
So many survivors struggling with is knowing how to grab the flag and when to go for the flag.
Well, you can't go for the flag because you play fucking knight. Okay, hold on. This clip again.
Survivors struggling with is knowing how to.
All right, she drops the pallet. That's the counterplay. She plays correctly. She's fucked here. She's still fucked. Why? Because she's at the corner of the fucking map. I will draw this out. I am this fucking petty. Here's the drop pallet. Short side, long side. Which way does the knight go?
Speed and when to go for the flag.
Okay, so they both go. Wait, what? Why is he doing that?
That I see so many survivors struggling with is knowing.
She drops the pallet. He plays wrong. He still gets the fucking hits. All right, sure. He's waiting right here. She's right here. She can't vault the fucking pallet until he goes, right? Okay, so now obviously, let's say she played poorly. Okay, she just panicked and vaulted and waited for this guy to leave so she could vault And in return, while she was waiting for this assassin to be off range, the knight comes around and hits her, right? So obviously she played that poorly. She could have played that way better. So if the knight decides to be a dumbass and goes the same direction his guards do, then she can go this way. Because remember, she's at the edge of the map. She can't just hold W, right? So this is her path to escape, right? Wrong. The knight just comes back and hits her here. And she can't double back. If she decides instead to go here and double back, then sure, the knight doesn't get her, but the guard does. That's still a hit. If I were the knight, I would be right here. So the correct play in that clip obviously is to go right here and wait, right? Either she gets hit by the guard or she vaults the pallet into my loving arms and gets hit anyway, right? Or she runs around this way and gets hit because she's at the edge of the map, right? Again, back to being stupid. So the guard goes this way, knight goes this way, waits here. She either vaults and gets hit, commits to this side, gets hit, or fakes going this way, doubles back, and gets hit by the guard. In the clip he's literally shown, there is no way the survivor avoids getting hit here because she's in the corner of the fucking map against the knight.
Halfway through the guard's chase timer, you can grab the flag to gain speed and endurance effect. We want to plan how to get to the flag without getting hit. This could be as simple as just running around an obstacle or just running in a straight line. But when you have both a guard and the knight chasing you both at the same time,
which is always going to happen because you're playing against a fucking knight,
things get a little bit more complicated, and especially if you're going against a good knight. So an example of what you can do if you get chased by both a guard and a knight at the same time. So here I'm getting chased and boom, I see that the knight is trying to cut me off. He's going for the other exit of the shack. So what I decide to do instead here is to run around the guard.
And they get what? What?
So what I decide to do instead here is to run around.
And you get hit by the jailer, right?
So I can get safe.
Why does he go for the window? Since when was this a thing?
Is to run around the guard. So
well, shit! Is that intentional?
Get some good distance.
Is that a bug or a fucking feature? God damn. All right. Okay. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but apparently you just fake the window against the guard. And even though it's programmed to come after you and to chase you down, it goes to the window instead.
So each loop and situation requires different solutions.
I'm not sure about that one, Chief.
The main point here is try to be unpredictable.
I'm trying to be nice. Okay, I'm trying to be nice. All right, it's not worth it. I'm trying to be nice. I respect the intention. I'm trying to be nice. There's one scenario in which you don't get hit against a knight, and that's if there's a window involved.
All right, so the next topic is gonna be the fake pallet drop trick. The Confix is a very strong guard.
Wonderful. This is what I always do. This is my knight counterplay. All right. So before he explains it, I want to explain it on my own because, yeah, I'm like that. All right. So we're at a pallet. All right. Here's the pallet. Here's me. Here's the knight. So what happens is I get to the pallet and I just wait. All right, I let go shift, wait at the edge of the pallet and just wait, right? See what the knight does. If the knight drops his sword and tries to summon a guard, I just run, I hold W immediately. Because it takes him a while to drop the guard, activate the guard, and then get out of his power. And by that time, I am out of the guard's detection radius. Like, by the time the guard detection radius is right here, I am over here, right? I'm gone. If the knight decides to try to swing at the pallet, I just drop it on his head. And I never drop this pallet if the knight has a little skull icon, right? If he's got a little skull, that means the card fixes up. That is the only time that I never drop this pallet. I will wait here forever, right? Either he walks in, gets stunned, or I wait here forever until he drops his card effects or decides to eat the stun, right? That is the knight counterplay that I know.
In a situation where a knight is chasing you and you're at a pallet, you can fake the pallet drop.
I would actually consider this counterplay. It's not much, but if I consider the artist, if I consider you baiting out an artist crow, if I consider you baiting out a crow counterplay, then I would have to consider this counterplay as well. So yeah, 2 points for DBD8 mate. It's not much, but it is something.
This will give you a bit of distance, because when the knight starts using his power, he needs to place his guard before he can control his character again. So, if the knight places his guard and falls for the fake pallet drop, they'll have to cancel the power and redirect to get to you. Now here's an example of what to not do. Here the Jeff is running, he gets to a pallet and he kind of fakes it, but he still drops it way too early. And it makes it so that I can catch up, break the pallet fast, and he goes down. So here I'm going to show you what you could have done instead. He gets
Which is drop the pallet.
He does good here is that he waits a little bit before dropping the pallet, but still he's way too eager to drop that pallet. And what happens is that I break it and he goes down. What he could do here is just wait, right? Wait and be patient and not just drop the pallet immediately. Because what I'm basically doing, I'm just waiting for him to drop it. You know, I'm just standing still until he does something. So it's kind of like a Mexican standoff. He does something. So not only does this waste a lot of...
Oh, okay, that was. You get props for that one, buddy. You get props for that one. Okay, that was funny. That made me chuckle.
Alright, now the next tip is a little bit of a fun trick. It's
fake vault tech, okay.
It's faking the window vault.
What the fuck? Okay. Okay, Carney. Alright. I know you guys can't see my face, but I would. What the, that was,
Fun trick.
That's spicy.
Very special.
Do you have to run up to the pallet? I think you should have to get into the I think you should have to get into the range of the prompt before you go away.
Faking the window vault when being chased by a guard. When you fake vault into a window while being chased by a guard, it will go to the window and then start chasing you again. So this works as a perfect...
So you have to enter the range of the prompt, right? You have to get close enough for it to hit the range of the prompt. And then I assume the guards... Alright, hold on. This makes sense. This makes sense now. Alright, so here's what's happening. From my limited understanding of how the AI in this game works, it seems like the guards operate based off a grid system. So they see what square the player is in, and they head towards it, right? That's the idea. And they try to and if they lose sight of the player, because I know they need line of sight, or they go to the last square they saw the player at, right? So if the player is last seen right here, and then the player moves over here, the guard is going to look for this square. So let's see the player again. But for some reason, when the player enters the window prompt, even if they immediately head this way, even if in literally the next frame, the guard's right here and the player is right here, the guard is still going to go for the window square because it assumes you're going to vault it, I think. That's like the only explanation I can come up with for why this would be programmed into the game instead of the knight just, you know, instead of the guard just chasing the player and hitting them here. It might be intentional for all I know. It might be completely intentional. The devs just put this in the game and never told anyone about it or mentioned it at all. This feels like a fucking exploit to me. That's like my only real problem with this, right? This feels like an exploit. This doesn't feel like it's intentional counterplay. Like, take the fucking Hunters for example, okay? Take the Hunters for example, okay? Forget all this grid shit. Baiting out a pallet drop against a Huntress, it feels like something that the devs kind of intended. Oh, I'm going to take it. No, I'm not. Like, you fake drop the pallet and then you run away. She pulls up her hatchet and you make distance on her, right? That feels intentional, right? This doesn't. It feels like you're exploiting a mechanic, right? Hell, even Alien, right? Picking the drop on the pallet and going this way feels and having the alien miss their tail attack. It feels intentional. There's like room for mind games here, right? How the fuck do you mind game an AI? They know literally where you are. They can quite literally fucking see you. He sees you. Why is he not going for you? What the hell? This doesn't feel intentional, right? That's my biggest gripe with this window shit. It doesn't feel intentional. I mean, it's cool that's in the game. I'm going to 100% use it. This is the only actual form of counterplay against the knight. But it feels like I'm exploiting. I don't think Mate 8 is doing this to be a conniving little asshole. I think he genuinely wants people to enjoy playing against the killer that he enjoys playing. That's very reasonable. I fucking respect that. So regardless of anything I say in this video, I respect the fact that this video was made. I respect the fucking attempt. I just don't agree that this is counterplay. This feels like a fucking exploit to me. I want there to be counterplay too, man. This just, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel right, you know? You're not mind gaming the AI. They can fucking see you. They're just, they're just bugged or something. Okay, so I guess the big question now is this a tech or an exploit? Because like hug teching is technically an exploit, but everyone's cool with it because it takes skill to pull off. And the devs are also cool with hug teching. However, the devs weren't cool with J flicking, right? Hug teching is cool, J flicking wasn't cool. Wesker surfing is another thing that the devs are 100% cool with, and if most of the community is cool with too. I think the reason is because both hug teching and Wesker surfing, both there is counterplay. You can bait it out, you can dodge it. There's actual counterplay on the other side for it. The reason why the locker exploit is called the locker exploit, not the locker tech, is because the killer can't do anything about it. The killer has no counterplay. Is there counterplay to the survivor faking the window? So is there any actual counterplay from the knight, right? At this point, right? Well, I mean, they go here, right? So the knight goes this way, God goes this way, and the survivor does this chicanery, right? Is there any counterplay from the knights? I mean, I guess the knight could wait right here and see if they get juked. I think they would get back to the flag in time. Say this is the flag, right? This is the flag. I think they would get back to the flag in time if they patiently waited here, right? And didn't just immediately try to go all the way around, right? So I guess the knight waits here and see if the guards gets juked or not, because they can see the aura. Hold on, yeah, there's counterplay. There is counterplay to this. On the knight side, the knight just waits. Wait, hold on. There's too much counterplay. If the knight just waits here and you go back, the knight catches you as you go back and hits you. Like, you don't get that fucking flag, buddy. Sorry, bucko, no flag for you. So either you vault the window, you get hit. You go to the pallet, you get hit. Or you hold W and you don't get hit. Fuck! God damn it. I flew too close to the fucking sun. I should have just left well enough alone. But no, I had to go poking and everything. And now Knight is back down to having no fucking counterplay whatsoever. What is wrong with me? I'm not doing this intentionally. Okay, just please, man.
So I've talked a little bit about taking the flag, but there are some cases where you don't want to grab the flag. Which brings me to the next tip, which is holding the guard hostage. For example, if a teammate is getting hard tunneled by a knight, you can try to take a guard hostage.
I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, again, it requires a coordinated team, which is going to stop a knight regardless. But something a coordinated team can do is hold the guard hostage, so the survivor he's chasing can actually loop the fucking knight
when the knight places the guard. That way, the knight doesn't have any guards to help him tunnel the survivor, and it's kind of similar to the twins when you hold Victor hostage. But for the knight, you're going to try to stay close to the survivor that is getting tunneled, and as soon as the knight places the guard, you try to take the hunt instead of the survivor that is getting tunneled.
Alright, general tips. Let's knock as much of this out as possible. Avoid map edges because you're playing against a fucking knight. Fair enough. If you're at the map edge, no matter what you do, you're getting hits, right? Unless you do the fancy little window tech thing. If you're at the map edge, run to the nearest fake run to the nearest Z wall. Nah, if you're at the edge of the map, you're dead against the knight. You get hit no matter what. Use guards to gain distance. I'm assuming he means that when the knight drops the guard at the loop, you just run away. That's as we saw in the video and as we discussed earlier. Fair enough. Avoid healing under the hook. I'm gonna extend that. Avoid healing in the terror radius, period. See, when I mentioned that I used to be a Knight main, what I didn't mention is that I would run Nurse's Calling all the fucking time. Why? Because if survivors heal my terror radius, I can just send a guard over to interrupt them. Alright, so just avoid healing in the terror radius in general. Use more walls rocks to hide. I don't know what this means, so I'ma stick around for this.
You also want to use your walls and rocks and everything you can to hide against the guards.
Okay, so yeah, this is fair. The guards do need line of sight on you to hunt you. Good luck hiding behind walls and rocks and other obstacles while you're currently being chased by the knight. If the knight drops the guard at the pallet and you try to loop the pallet, no matter how many rocks or walls you hide behind, the knight's going to eventually force you into a position where the guard sees you and you get hits. It still doesn't, you know, it's fine. This is good advice. Thank you very much, Mate 8. Hiding behind walls and rocks while inside the circle could be useful in a gameplay. Not in chase, but in like, you know, just other aspects of gameplay. If ever there's an aspect of gameplay where you're in a guard circle and the knight is not chasing you. In that very rare scenario, which never fucking happens, by the way, because the knight is a map control killer with no map control. Therefore, you'd have to be either insane or me to play knight as a map control killer. In that very infinitely rare scenario where you're in a guard circle and the knight is not sniffing your asshole, then yes, hiding behind walls and rocks is a great tip.
So that was it for this video. I want to give a huge shout out to Winnout for helping me record some of these clips.
Once again, I would like to give a shout out to not only Mate8 for making an attempt at this. Really, brother, no hate. No, I mean you no hate. I mean you nothing. I wish you nothing but the best. I'm a little disappointed that the only actual counterplay is likely not intended by the developers. Even though I can't justify playing as the knight with the information I have been provided, I have actually learned a couple tips or tricks in this video to help me play against the knights. Do I think they're a fun killer? No, I still think that a knight is either boring or painful to play against. That hasn't changed at all. Now, despite the fact that there's an unintended feature in the game I can use to my advantage, I think I might actually last longer against the knight in a chase. Thank you very much for providing us with this information, Mate8. Despite how mean I was to you, I do appreciate it. Not only do I respect the attempt, but I appreciate the outcome. I appreciate the end product. A couple years ago, before the Spirit rework, there was like I remember seeing this hour-long video of some dude who's put like a ridiculous amount of hours into spirits. He made a guide on how to counter spirit because he enjoyed playing spirit and wanted people to enjoy playing against her. I can't find this guide. I know it exists. I'm assuming it's because I accidentally crossed into the Berenstain universe. So maybe when I get back into the Berenstain universe, I'll have the video play in the background if I can find it. This video made by Mate8 has a very, very similar vibe to it, right? He genuinely enjoys playing knight and wants people to enjoy playing against him. I think this is a very pure motivation. And despite the fact that it's just unfortunate that the knight is a poorly designed killer with no actual counterplay. He is a map control killer with no map control. And the only counterplay, right? Counterplay asterisk is what it feels like. It's basically an exploit. Saying that that window tech is a counterplay knight feels like saying that this locker tech is also counterplay knight, right? Or in this case, hillbilly, right? There's nothing that hillbilly can do to counter it, you know. So this is there's like 3 spots on the pale rose where if you down a survivor, you can't pick them up or hook them, right? Saying that the window tech for the knight is a tech or counterplay, it feels like in the same vein as saying this right here is counterplay to spirit. You're all playing her. You took an action. That she can't do anything about. It doesn't matter how fast she phases. She can't hook you here, right? You've managed to take an action to outplay her power, right? I really did want there to be actual knight counterplay. I really did. Again, I love his aesthetic. I used to be a knight main, but with the information I've been given, I still can't justify actually playing knight. He's still boring and painful to play against. But hey, at least now I know an exploit that I can use to make me last longer in a chase against the knights. Unless the knight knows about the exploit, in which case we're back to pre-drop pallet and hold W. My favorite way to play survivor. Once again, shout out to Warrior. His Twitch and Discord linked in the description. These guys are epic. Show them some love. Show Mate8 some love as well, man. This guy deserves it. Just for the attempt, he deserves a little bit of love. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel and shit. All right, that's it for this video. Take it easy, everyone, and have a wonderful night. I can't think of an outro song. Subscribe to the channel or I'll kill myself.